Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of The Philosopher, the Stoic, the Teddy Bear. We got Mark in the house. Mark, how's it going?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for the invite, guys. Appreciate it.
No, we're glad to have you on. It's going to be a good conversation. I guess get some housekeeping out of the way. This is episode 33. We're airing on Thursday, February 19th, 2026. If everybody could go ahead and share the stream, we'd appreciate it. All three of us are persona non grata on social media. So we got a lot to talk about today, and we'll just jump right into it. I'm coming in a little bit hot. I am pissed off about the government of Canada basically bringing in mercenaries, bragging about it. Um, I don't know, and seemingly no one's getting upset about this besides me. Mark, what do you think's going on?
Well, the communists are moving to. I talked about it a lot. The first 25 minutes of my show, I think this morning, was talking about how this is the movement to allow foreign militaries fast-tracked access to the Canadian military, and that seems strange, especially when we are targeted by China. And you rightly say, country that's paying people to come in, foreign people to come in, that's a militia. Who are they going to use these people on? And I was joking around, and I've said before, if an army showed up on our shores, number one, we are woefully, totally unprepared for that. And then two, if an army truck drove into your neighborhood and said, everybody form up in the park, we're counting heads and you have to do this. I thought it'd be a foreign military and it would be like, Chinese troops. And because we're woefully unprepared for being invaded, nobody's got any kind of plan for that. I didn't realize that it would be a Canadian military truck coming in to deal with the citizens, and the people in the Canadian military truck would be paid by our government, and the government would be telling them to crack down on you and me. So like, that's a bit of a different situation, but it seems like and I don't know what Trump is, but as Trump is moving, Canada was saying we've got to help the Cubans with their oil and stuff. As Trump's moving to cut off the communists' ability to continue to run their crooked regime, Canada's saying, hold on a second, what about the communists in Cuba? And that's weird. So it seems like we're in the middle of a tug of war. And on one side is the United States and on the other side is China. And they've got a huge piece of Vancouver and they're sending fentanyl into the United States. And I don't know if Trump has enough time to fix all this, personally. If he actually will fix all of this, I don't know. But I don't know if he's got enough time to do it. What do you think, JP?
There's definitely priorities that he has. I mean, his own country, like, it could pop into civil unrest or worse, civil war at any moment. I mean, it's the same struggle everywhere. He also has Europe to be concerned of as well, which are seemingly out to get him. I read something today that Keir Starmer and the Labour Party of the UK said that America can't utilize their military bases. Yeah, for Iran. Whatever it's for is kind of irrelevant. I'm not super keen on the whole war thing myself personally, but I mean, it's just for anything like that's bold. Like, it's getting to the point now where there's not even any type of performance about it. Like, they're not on friendly terms, and that's where Carney is trying to pull us. The question for me is, like, how much do Canadians have to see before they truly get what's occurring? Because I made a post today and it went a little viral for me because I'm deboosted. But it's like many still have their elbows up. They're drooling on themselves. They're cheering all of this on. They have no conception of what's really occurring domestically or geopolitically. And it's like now we're bringing in foreign troops into Canada. Like, didn't this happen in Rome? Correct me if I'm wrong. Like, it wasn't a good move then, and it's not a good move now. So they're trying to disarm tax-paying, law-abiding Canadians. At the same time, they're bringing in foreigners that probably very little vetting process, and they're going to give them submachine guns, and it's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm. Like I mentioned, I'm running hot, so I'll keep my comments short. We're talking this war that nobody can really speak of, that which we shall not speak. It's with these European globalists. And I find it interesting that the beachhead that they've decided to establish, the hill that they're going to die on, and the country they're going to sacrifice is Canada. It feels like the heads of states of the European countries, they're just incompetent. Charles is like, oh, we can't use any of these knuckleheads. Hey, Mark, why don't you go to Canada and do whatever you can to stop Trump? And I can't believe it. He's going like balls to the walls. It's almost like he has no self-awareness whatsoever that he's right next to America, the country with all those nukes. And they're like, hey, why don't we bring in some Chinese paramilitary forces? I'm sure Trump won't mind.
Yeah, I don't know what Trump's how he's gonna respond to that, because it seems he's already kind of shots across the bow saying this China deal with the 49,000 EVs is a bad idea. And we doubled down and we have visa-free travel to China if we want it. I was concerned that it was reciprocal, that China could travel here without visas. Mexico can, or could, for a while. But it seems like Trump would be foolish to not respond to that. And yet it's already the case. We're already in that configuration. And Trump seems to, as JP said, he seems to have his priorities. I wanted to quickly respond to that. I can't fault him. You know, like if I had the United States, if I was the president of the United States, I'd be much more of an a-hole than Trump is being. I would cut people off way sooner. Canada, I wouldn't mince words about it. It seems like there's more going on. It seems like Trump's trying to be the statesman and trying to be above the fray type deal. Like, I'm going to lead in this direction and people are going to follow me, Board of Peace stuff. But I don't know that he understands. I hope he understands just how much control the communists have, because they're fully in charge of most of the democratic states. They're fully in charge of a lot of Europe. They're fully in charge of Canada. Somebody was asking why Canada. It's not just Canada. New Zealand, Australia, the United Kingdom, all of it, including Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. And what are the Northern Irish doing? Where are those guys? Like, hello. And it's not just Canada. And they're doing it to former crown or colonies, like colonies of the United Kingdom. And I think they're doing it, and I've said this before, but I think the people who put King Charles in place, it's a step back, right? King Charles was a world order king. The Queen, the whole royal family was German, right? Like, they had to take on a whole other name. It was about control. And now they're moving into a different phase. And I think that the royal family worked with the communists, and the communists who run China are not in China. It's the same strategy they've got in China that they've got here. The puppet who works for the families is in charge in China. And when the people are sick of them, they'll put another puppet in charge. And I think that that's the same thing. So Charles got told by the people who run him, this is what you're going to do. And he did it. And I think that it's allowing Canada to be taken over by the communists because they want America to be taken over by the communists, because they want to end free speech in the United States, because they want a one world government. And that's where we're at. The people that run our government and the Australian government and all the governments that I just mentioned, they all work for the globalist families that want an easy to manage population that's actually much lower than what it is now. And so they're trying to bring that to fruition. And we're sitting around like they're not trying to kill us. Does everybody remember 2020? Does everybody remember COVID? They were messing around with that jibby jab thing.
So yeah, we could totally end up in a situation similar to the one that the Ukrainians are in, where it's a proxy war. Right now, I think we're at war. It's in the realm of economics, but it could go kinetic at any point. And I think the globalists, I call them globalists, but I mean the same thing as you do when you say communist. But I think that they're profoundly aware of Canada's weakness. And I think too, like, they don't exactly know what to do. Everyone thinks like, well, what are they doing? It's like, it's very plausible that they're kind of reacting at this point. Trump's made some big moves and they're trying to see what they could potentially get away with. Look at that move when Carney first announced the trade agreement with China. Like, Trump was throwing bombs on social media, calling him Governor Carney for the first time. We haven't heard that since Trudeau. But yeah, man, it's just really, I keep coming back to this, and I'm sorry if I'm going to be repetitive in this episode, but what does it take for Canadians to wake up? I feel like I'm in a bad dream. Every subsequent trans mass shooting, all of the expropriation of private property, the censorship aspirations of the regime in charge of Canada, Canadians are not paying attention. They have no clue. I mean, we have two camps, dominant camps in Canada. We have the Carneyites with their elbows up, drooling on themselves. These guys have no fucking idea what's going on. And then you have some people who are slightly more aware, and they believe that the answer is Pierre Poilievre, who is clearly compromised and playing the controlled opposition. So, I mean, all I keep thinking every day is like, when are Canadians going to wake up?
Look, JP, I agree with you on the Carney slash, versus versus Pierre Poilievre uniparty thing. It's a little bit too early right now for me to touch that. I can't be drinking either. It's too early. I really like what Mark said, and Mark and I, we've talked about this, how it's not the Chinese. And I know, JP, you and I have also talked about this. It's the people that have brought the Chinese. It's the people that brought the Bolsheviks. They tried to do it through the Nazis.
It's the same people.
Yeah, and
it's the same people.
You can call them whatever you want. I like the analogy of the high table. It's got that James Bond feel.
Yep.
But it's whoever's doing that. And sometimes people get stuck in the weeds and they think that China is acting unilaterally to take over Canada.
No.
Mark Carney is working with China because Mark Carney hates America because, as Mark, you pointed out, he doesn't like the free speech elements, the Second Amendment, gun rights, and just the fact that they can't tax people, which is, I think, what's leading to CBDC. CBDC is it's basically the ultimate taxation without representation globally.
Yep. Yeah. Well, the CBDC is the end goal. Like the CBDC and they have to have consent from us, or we'll have our own metal-based currency or something like that, which happened in Greece when they were switching over to the euro and all of the credit crunches and all of that stuff. I think that there's more that needs to happen in order for central bank digital currency and any kind of digital ID, but it's all tightly interwound with what's going on, because I think that a conflict will easily bring that in. Oh, well, we got to make sure that you're not with the bad guys, right? The bad guys remain kind of undefined until the government wants to define who the bad guys are. And, oh, yes, Mark, you are a bad guy. Actually, we've defined you as a bad guy. So you're going to, a prison camp or something like that. And I think it's the same ideology as the people who killed the kulaks, the Bolsheviks, and that runs a straight line from there to here. Like those same people are in charge. JP mentioned civil war in the United States could go hot at any moment. And so like, I think that Trump is trying to get ahead of that. Sorry, I've got to mute my notifications here. I think Trump's trying to get ahead of that with the National Guard and all the rest. But I think that the influence of the communists and the funding that they've got. So like they were using US aid, they were using all these dark money, and Trump's cutting them off. Venezuela, US aid, there's other things I'm sure that financially they're being cut off from. But they still have a huge amount of money. They have a huge amount of operating capital, and like dwarfs me, dwarfs you, dwarfs all of us together even, right? They have a huge amount of money, and they can still operate their agitation kind of guerrilla tactics. And those guerrilla tactics make it look like the Trump administration is very unpopular and like people don't like it and so on and so forth. And so there's this kind of back and forth where the war is the face of this war, the face of this conflict doesn't want to be seen, right? Trump uses rhetoric that he can plausibly deny that there's a conflict. He loves everybody. Everybody's great. Carney's great. Kim Jong-un's great. Everybody's great. The prime minister in Japan's great. Everybody's great. Trump is, and he's tough with people that he wants to be tough with. But Trump doesn't want to admit there's conflict. He wants to, again, lead, rise above it, lead, and hope people follow. And that's what his whole plan is. And I think that we're not supposed to see the conflict. If we see the conflict, it's supposed to be framed in Trump created unrest, and this is the result of Trump's decision, this unrest. And we're supposed to view these Antifa radicals who are trying to destabilize our country as the logical outgrowth of Trump's bad policies. They're trying to blame Trump for all of the unrest, and Trump doesn't want to get involved because like Trump's up here, right? He's trying to take the high road, and these guys are down here trying to pull Trump down. If he starts attacking these people, they're dragging him down, and he can't be that leader who's leading the way this way. Does that make sense? And they're trying to churn the time. They're trying to waste his time, because the more time is wasted on Iran, Israel, all of that stuff, the more time that's wasted, Ukraine, all of it, the more time his domestic agenda gets hamstrung.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. What we've seen with Minnesota kind of really reached a fever pitch during the ice raids of Minnesota. It's a color revolution.
Yeah.
They might have lost some of their funding with the closure of USAID, but I mean, all of the NGOs are still coordinating and funding the provocateurs. And then there's a lot of low resolution people that buy into it all. There truly is. And I mean, they'll weaponize anything and utilize it for this war. And it is a war. I have no problem using that language. But I think too, I agree with you. If Trump acknowledges the extent of what's occurring publicly, I think it's like going to have a trigger effect. And I don't know if they can easily walk back anything. Like once people realize how desperate this situation is, I just think maybe there's no stopping it when it occurs. And that's why he is so statesman-like when he's talking about everyone. Oh yeah, everyone's great. I see exactly what you're saying. And I also agree entirely that they're trying to just waste his time. Or they're trying to wait him out. I mean, the big thing is the midterms, which are going to be a hurdle for him because their propaganda networks are very prevalent, and a lot of people that were on the Trump train have long black pilled. The minute the Iran thing happened,
don't get me. Yeah, so not to interrupt, but the amount of people who, sorry, Peyman, I know you're next, but the amount of people who are desperately trying to convince me Trump is the bad guy and everybody made a mistake in electing him and he works for Israel. Maybe he works for Israel. That's my biggest criticism of Trump. But the things that he's doing are pissing off all the right people, and weird people come to me, emails, private messages, people trying to convince me Trump's terrible. And they're trying to take my temperature on it. Oh, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I'm like, what the heck is going on? It's weird. It is the weirdest thing I've ever experienced.
You still there?
Hate Trump yet. And it's like, shit, guys, you guys are.
I think we have a connectivity issue.
I think they targeted his router.
Yeah, right there. That was it.
Are we back? Okay, we're back.
Yeah,
I was going to go and start live streaming on my show. I was like, I don't know what happened. I've pissed off the wrong person. Sorry, Carrie, Peyman, I think, or JP.
Yeah, you go ahead,
Mark, I agree that the Trump derangement syndrome, and it comes in different flavors. Like the boomers, they're the most susceptible. Like they are romanticizing and they are whitewashing history. They're like George H.W. Bush, such a great statesman, such a great man, never did anything wrong. Colin Powell, wonderful human being. You know, like the boomers, they're very susceptible. Yeah. And then people our age or a little bit younger or older, they anytime Donald Trump does anything, like he could sneeze, they'd be like, there you go. Oh, that's Caligula. Terrible. This is how the Roman Republic felt. Like anything he does wrong, they're looking for a reason to hate him.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're not wrong, man. It's absolutely true. Who names their kid Colin? Like my mom's British and she's like, it's Colin, right? I was like, everybody says Colin. And she's like, what is it? Why would you name your yeah, the Trump derangement syndrome is absolutely wild. I have had my mom multiple times and like, I had to turn off Ellen. I was like, stop listening to Ellen. She's not your friend. This is years ago now because Ellen's off the air. But she would watch Ellen all the time. And I was like, these people are not your friend. They're lying to you about things. And these people are probably pretty evil. I kind of filled her in on Pizzagate, like kid gloves on Pizzagate. But I mean, she understands trauma and what these people are doing. And then we would have conversations about Trump. And I would think, okay, I've broken through. Like I've made a good argument here. And she's seemed to not agree with me, but, you know, back down on her hatred of Trump. And then like the next time I go visit her, she's like, oh, that Trump. And I was like, okay, I can't even, like, you can't argue with these people because it's just a steady stream.
Can I just say something quick? And then JP, you can go.
Sorry.
My father, I'm Iranian. My father called me the other day and he was angry at me. He goes, Peyman, your good friend, he failed to invade Iran and liberate us. I'm like, I'm sorry, Dad. Let me just call him up and I'll change
that Trump.
It's a little dig, like, you know, see, I told you about this guy. I think it's that generation, right? Like my mom is past now, but she was that would have been 2017. So she's seen Trump and she hated him and she was on a steady diet of CNN. Now this generation, like people are very critical of boomers. I could see why, but you have to put it in perspective. Like they came from a very high trust society. They've experienced prosperity that we have not and subsequent generations have not. Plus the biggest thing is they're more conditioned. They had their whole life being conditioned with one fucking source of information, the news. So they have more faith in the medium. They
The
had
internet-
it's just as simple as that.
The internet screwed us. Sorry, not screwed us. The internet opened up our eyes, and we don't have that trust anymore. It's totally gone. And it's like every time we're like, okay, maybe we'll trust them. See how they report this. It's like woman in a dress. Oh shit! Like nope. Sorry, Peyman.
No, it's fine. I had Nico on, and he put it in a different perspective for boomers. He goes, the reason that they were so successful is because like an entire generation went and fought for what they inherited, and then they died. It's like, imagine if the three of us build a software company and then the two of you die and I inherit it. Like they got free labor, and that's why they grew up in so much prosperity. And now they like JP said, like they don't understand that everyone else is struggling. They think that everything should be like the way it was when they were kids.
Well, it should be like the way it was when they were kids. Like that's the reality of the situation. We have money. We are a very rich country, and we have money coming in and regular money coming in. And if you had a household that you were bringing in, let's say $15,000 a month, let's say like a lot of money a month, right? And you squander $17,000. No, you squander $30,000 a month. And at the end of the month, you're like, I'm kind of hungry and I can't wait to payday. Like that's a spending problem. That is a policy problem. That's a management and governance problem. We should be a rich country. We're not because of fraud. We're not because of mismanagement. We're not because purposeful mismanagement and purposeful managed decline. And they're doing it on purpose. This is not a mistake. And they're bringing in inflation, and inflation is a hidden tax. And I didn't understand what that meant when I was 18 and people would scream it at me. Like, it's a hidden tax. And I was like, I don't know what you mean. And now I get it, right? And now I'm like, oh my gosh, like 2% a year, 5 years, that's 10%, 10 years, that's a lot. Like, holy shit balls, man. And so like, it's baked into the financial system that there's a 2% tax every year, 10% right? And our money is being devalued at that rate. And we all sit around and think that it's just fine. And JP, you're saying, what does it take for Canadians to wake up? Fundamentally, everybody has a different breaking point. Like Peyman's in here today, and he's angry because there's Chinese military potentially getting fast tracked into our military. And like, man, that was a couple of years ago. I remember the Chinese military marching in BC, right? It wasn't Vancouver. It was like a rural kind of northern part of BC. But people were saying, hey, like there's whole brigades of Chinese military. And then not 6 weeks later, there was a Canadian government doing cold weather training with China. Trump didn't say a damn word. Nobody said anything. Right? This is 2017, 2018, 2019. Nobody cared. And it's like, I'm very concerned because I could see how this could go badly. But that high trust society is like, oh man, everything. I'm sure they wouldn't do that. It's like, oh, they've already done worse, man. Have you heard of Maid? So what's it going to take, man? Maid's a horror show. Like people break at different times though. And they're using that to their advantage, and the constant surveillance and everything else they've got, and the AI, they've got kind of a data thing that they're like, listen, how close are people to rebelling? And we're not, right? We got toilets, we've got TV, we've got Netflix. We're not, we'd be closer to rebelling if we didn't have power. But
yeah,
like,
they have predictive behavioral models for sure, and they're constantly accruing more data on where we're at, right? I think half of these social media platforms are doing that exact same function.
All of them.
So you hit upon a key subject that I want to touch on, and that was when you said managed decline. Mm-hmm. Now that's what this is. Mark Rubio actually referenced this specifically at the Munich conference.
That speech was
said, yeah, so was JD Vance's the year before. They're calling it cold when you listen to it and you look at the geopolitical stage and what they're saying. Mm-hmm. But he called out the deindustrialization. He actually said, we're not willing to be the custodians while the West deindustrializes.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's actually coming out there. But now I've phrased it this way. There's some people that this is occurring and they can't look at us. People like us three, like we can't look away. We could see that this is occurring and we're obsessed with the news cycle. We're obsessed with trying to interpret what's happening. Most people aren't like that. They have that effect of like, there's a monster under the bed and they sense it and they're terrified. They truly are, but they're not willing to confirm their suspicion because then it gets real. So that cognitive dissonance is that thick for most people, but it has to get real. That's for sure. I mean, and it could at any moment. Sincerely, I believe that.
Yeah, I kind of want to just bring up some questions here.
Sure.
We don't have to pivot immediately, but there's two people here, JT and Mark. I want to get your perspective on this. He says it's still the most logical to me that Carney is intentionally pushing for Canada to become the 51st state. Do you believe this?
Super plausible. Have you read the Book of 300 or the Club of Rome? And I think it's Book of 300. And so I read the Book of 300. I read a lot of audiobooks, so I'm not like tangible with it, but I listen while I'm doing other things. And I read both Club of Rome and I'm sure it's Book of 300, but in the comments, let me know if I might be wrong. And they talk about how a North American economic bloc is ideal. In the early 2000s, I live in Guelph, and we had a thing called Mondex, and I was excited about it because I thought it was cool. It was like electric money, and you got like free electric money, and they had all these stores downtown that they came into the high school and they gave us all a Mondex card. This is just before debit came out. Like debit came out.
I remember this. This was a fob. They were selling it at York University.
Yeah. And all the stores downtown, or a bunch of the stores downtown, like a bunch of the food and a bunch of the bars were like, all right, whatever, we'll do Mondex. It was crap. Nobody used it. And like when I think I tried to use it, but it didn't work. I went to like the comic book store to buy comics with it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, sorry, can you just pay cash?" I was like, "Yeah, fine." So it didn't actually take off. But in the early 2000s, ear to the ground, I was interested in that and in money because of that kind of stuff that was going on. And I didn't get good at doing money anyway. But people were saying, no, they want to have the Americo or the Eagle as a currency, and they want to switch Canada over to harmonize. They'll say it's to harmonize for trading, but really what it is a sneaky way to get us into this North American bloc. So like, I am conflicted about it, because if Canada stays a country, currently we are not a sovereign country. We have knowledge. CSIS has told us that there are foreign influence in our elections, specifically China, specifically a number like 11 MPs who were elected with Chinese influence, money and help on the ground and all sorts of other stuff. And that's a problem. So if we don't run our own country, I don't think we have sovereignty. So we're not moving from a situation where we have sovereignty to a situation where we don't have sovereignty. Right now, we're in a situation where we believe we have sovereignty, but we're not working in reality because we don't control our government, right? And so somebody else controls our government, and we get to deal with the fallout of whatever that government does, including speech laws, including giving money for Ukraine and foreign wars, including losing our ability to control or have any accountability over the government, which they like Carney's deleting all the emails after 15 days. So they're creating a situation where there's no accountability. And so if the United States comes in and takes over, that solves some problems. But if we retain the situation that we're in now, we don't have sovereignty right now. And so without a big clean out of all of the institutions, and maybe a complete restructuring of all the institutions, including justice, including police, and like jail, including the political system at every level, from the prime minister and federal politics all the way. And it might even be better to break the freaking country up because of the fraud at the scale that we're on. But from the federal politics to the provincial politics to the municipal politics and the school boards, it's all corrupt. So like, look at what the school boards are teaching kids. So it's a situation, I don't know what's better, because if we stay in the configuration we're in now, then we're not directing our country. We are not sovereign. We are not able to say, I don't want to put cross-sex hormones in this 10-year-old and cut off their genitals, because they don't have the requisite knowledge to consent to this. We all want to stop that. The government's not listening to us. The ministers of education won't meet with parents. The government is not listening to us. So in one situation, if something happens and the United States comes in and removes our system and replaces it with their system, is that likely? Is that what happened with other territorial systems that they've overtaken? I don't know. If the United States comes in and removes our system and replaces it with a governorship and we're an actual state, then that solves a lot of problems. but removes our sovereignty. Long term, I think it's a bad deal, but it might be a better deal than the one we've got. If we keep the configuration we're in, then we don't have any sovereignty and we don't have any escape. Because I have not seen any evidence that we have a political party or a guerrilla group of people who are have the requisite skills to disrupt the communists. Look at what they're doing to the world. And I'm not trying to blackpill everybody and say there's no hope, we shouldn't do anything. I damn well think we should, because if we don't do it, it's going to be our kids. And if it's not them, it's going to be our grandkids. And we shouldn't leave that to them. We should damn well try and fix this. It wasn't like this when I was a kid. It wasn't like this when I was 20. So either we weren't paying attention or these assholes got bold. Either way, we need to fix it. But is it logical that Carney is intentionally pushing for Canada to become the 51st state? It is very, very plausible. And there, as I laid out, there are problems with both. Keeping things status quo, not ideal, definitely not a win condition. Moving to governance by the United States, not a win condition, maybe better than we're at, but also maybe not. Maybe the United States just owns us and they leave our political system in place and says, yeah, Canada's its own little territory, but they listen to us. Wink. That would be the worst of all situations, because we definitely lose sovereignty.
All right. Let's go to JP.
Oh, yeah, Mary.
You've run it at the clock.
Sorry.
All good, brother. Yeah, I seen the Club of Rome map with the various globalist districts laid out, that Canada, Greenland, and America. And that's what a lot of the black pillars are saying too about Trump. And then it's like I said in the last episode, like I find myself listening to analysts such as Alex Craner, Tom Luongo, Crypto Rich Politics, dude, always has them all on, Promethean Action Group. And I still I'm still hopeful, but I'm definitely skeptical, man. Like, I don't know what's going on. And at the end of the day, it's all conjecture. We're trying to speculate and hypothesize using like framings that we're kind of conceptualizing on our own and getting bits and pieces from other people. But I think you got to stay humble in this moment. Like, it's really hard to tell what's occurring right now, but it could happen fast, man. And we don't know what it's going to look like. Could it be an economic union? Could it be a straight territorial, like join as a territory and then eventually have a vote to let us join as a state or something like that? But I don't think that America could continue to let Canada deteriorate to the extent it has with this foreign military thing. Like, that's giving Trump all the ammo he needs. So with JT's question, yeah, I agree with you, Mark. It's plausible. With that said, I don't fucking know what's going on. I mean, it's impossible to tell with this stuff. The fog of war is thick.
My opinion, I agree with JT with almost everything, but on this one, I just don't see it. Like, Carney hates America so much. I don't think he would want Canada to be a part of America. I think he just wants it to be a part of Europe, China, and then they'll figure out, once they dismantle this whole Trump sovereigntist MAGA movement, then maybe. So Peggy says, yeah, it's the Committee of 300. She confirms that.
Thank you.
She's got a question. I can't figure out why Trump helped Carney win the election. This is another one I don't believe. Do you guys believe Trump intentionally helped Carney win, or did he just drop the fumble?
Trump operates by taking people who should behave one way. You're the Prime Minister of Canada, you put Canada first, you know what I mean? Should behave one way, and then pushes them into the light, allows them the opportunity to show everybody who they are, right? And so maybe, because he definitely did say, oh, I prefer Carney. Apparently they're friends. Apparently there's business dealings between Brookfield and Trump. They run in the same circles, like he's a billionaire. They're not many billionaires. Maybe they've golfed together. I don't know. I don't know if Carney and Trump, I doubtful about that. But it does, like, from what I saw, it looked like Trump was purposely endorsing Carney. But I mean, he also said that when he endorses other politicians in other countries, he has to be careful because sometimes his endorsement does the opposite. You know what I'm saying? Like, Trump likes him, I must not. That's not a good thing for me to like. So, And the other thing I just want to respond to a little bit quickly, JP, you were saying we're kind of analyzing these things by ourselves, and my analogy is like we're sliding down a hill at speed and there are trees and we have to dodge it. So we're just kind of reacting like, holy shit, like things are happening, man. Like, it's too fast. And if you get hit by a tree, it just hurts. You don't stop. You can't catch your breath because there's more trees coming. Like, and you have to dodge these trees. That's my life analogy.
Here's my analogy for what's happening. It's like there's so much domestic and geopolitical chaos right now that if we were all at a theater, the curtain is like it's swaying because of all the commotion, and we're able to see, if we're careful when we're looking, we're able to see glimpses behind the curtain. But at the same time, I'm profoundly aware that we can't see the entirety of it, so it's really hard to gauge what's going on and get like a coherent framing. There's no stable ground. I listen to all of these analysts, and I know the ones that I want to believe are the ones I seem to favor. So am I kidding myself, right? Like, but I think one of the big things with Trump, as Peggy said, potentially helping Carney win, I don't think it mattered. I think Trump knows that Pierre Poilievre, now it's time for the uniparty. I'm sorry, I'm bringing this out. I think Trump is profoundly aware that both parties operate with each other. And why have like the actor when you can have the real guy who's negotiating? Carney was sent here and installed, in my estimation, because I don't trust the electoral process, but he was installed leader to do this negotiation, I believe. Come hell or high water or whatever happens, because there is some uncertainty there with these two sides that are fighting each other. But I think Carney was the one to do the negotiation. And even if it was Pierre, it still would have been Carney doing the negotiation. It just would have been through Pierre. I really think Trump was profoundly aware of that.
You know, we are Charlie Kirk is saying how our only hope is for Carney to be Maduro'd. Last week, for the first time, the three of us, you know, we kind of understand it. We need outside help. But it was the first time I saw a normie say to me, you know, this ends when Carney sort of dies in his sleep. Wink, wink. I think people are starting to realize that Canada, we might not be able to get ourselves out of this mess.
Yeah. We are certainly in a situation where it doesn't seem like you can, if you organize a group of people, well, they're going to get you on mischief, and that's going to be a 15-year trial, and they're going to bankrupt you during it, right? Like it's pretty wild. One of the other analogies I often think about is like, we're watching a game, and the game is multi-layered, and I think it's like chess, but you don't know the rules of the game. The people are making moves, like you can see the moves because it's on the world stage, right? Like you've got Mark Rutte, who was the prime minister of the Netherlands, and then he tried to destroy farmers' ability to create food, and the farmers were like, "Hey, I don't effing well think so." This is in 2020 into 21, I think, and they maybe 2019 into 2020. It was a big story when it was happening, and so they ran him out. They ran him out of the Netherlands, and he's a piece on the chessboard that I'm watching, right? And they moved him from being the former prime minister of the Netherlands, president, whatever it is, to being the NATO chief. He's the NATO boss now, right? And he's like super pro-Trump NATO boss. What? That doesn't make any sense. He's the guy who was trying to take the ability of the Danish farmers to produce food, and now Trump is going to save the Europe and the whole deal. And so like, we're watching this game, and the rules are not written anywhere. The moves are in the public, so it's like chess that way. You can see what's going on, but you have no idea if the move was a good thing or a bad thing. You look at the person's history, you're like, well, shit, I don't know. Like, look at Lutnick, right? Trump was talking the other day. Lutnick dodged 9/11. Inner circle trusted advisor for years. Trump's throwing him out like hanging him out to dry on 9/11 in front of everybody. That's interesting, right? So like, I don't know what the moves mean most of the time, but I'm looking at them going, well, they're moving pieces on this board here that I'm watching, and seems ill-advised to me, but here we are, and this is what we're watching. And that's what I mean. Like, it moves so fast, and you're just researching who this guy is and why he's in the position he's in. And like, look at that resume, and you're like, I don't think he's going to do well for us. And then all of a sudden it's like 2 more moves, and it's like, holy shit, what's happened? And then USMCA doesn't get renewed. And then this, and then this, and then this, and then this. And it's like, holy shit, right? Buried.
Yeah. It's like the ruling class is having a civil war, and we're not supposed to be aware of that fact. And the countries aren't as important as we think they are. There's just bigger factors to play along. Now, when I say that about Pierre Poilievre specifically too, it's because Trump has endorsed other anti-establishment parties or populist people, like the people that were on board with what he was trying to do. I mean, Maloney, he was very friendly with. Javier Milei, he was very friendly with. If Pierre Poilievre is who he says he is, why wouldn't Trump just be like, yeah, I want to deal with this guy? You know what I mean? Like, the fact that he's publicly said on 2 occasions that, forget about that guy. He's not a mega conservative, or he's not like me in some paraphrasing, but he has said that twice. I mean, I think that speaks volumes. For me, that was when I really started to say, like, okay, that's showing Pierre's hand there. And the way Pierre and the Conservative Party parroted exactly what Carney was saying. Like, there was no discrepancy. There was no opposing views there. It was just they were in unison saying, you know, like vilifying Trump and wanting protective tariffs and all that. Like, it was just watching that play out showed me a lot about what's going on domestically. And I lost all faith in the whole parliament. I sincerely did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Mark, when you say Canada, we're not really sovereign. We think we're sovereign, but we're not. I get that same impression with the Conservative Party. Like, they try to present themselves as if they're like a federal political party, but I always say they're a wing of the Liberal Party. And if you don't believe me, look at Pierre Poilievre the last few years. Well, going back to the April election, it's like people were coming in and they're giving him liberal talking points, and he's like, "This is going to tank the party. There's, you know, either read it or we'll find another leader." And the look on his face when he lost his own seat, he was a defeated man.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, so I don't think that, like, Mark Carney didn't leave his banker job to come here and lose the prime ministership. And so, like, owning the other side makes sense as a way to ensure. But if I'm Pierre Poilievre and I know they've gerrymandered the seat. They gerrymandered the seat between the 22 election and the 24, because he was reelected there 10 years, 15 years, from like 2003, right? It was a long friggin' time to represent that riding. It doesn't often happen that ridings flip like that. They gerrymandered the seat. They changed the people in the riding. And so if I'm the leader of the party, and I know that, it doesn't make sense to run in that riding anymore. So you have to find a safe riding because you're the leader of the party, right? Like, there's a lot about that. There's insiders that didn't do what they were supposed to do. And I don't know if Pierre Poilievre, and again, sometimes I think, like, is this Trump not doing what he's supposed to do? Or is this, he put Bondi into place and she's not doing what she's supposed to do, even though he's telling her to do it? I don't know. And so Poilievre's the same thing. There are some things where I think that he's a guy who's genuinely wanted to do well, be like Diefenbaker. I think that he wanted to be like Diefenbaker. And then they kind of got to him and they created a situation where he has to play ball, or
He mentioned Diefenbaker. Huge mistake.
So yeah, I'll just go until we get Mark back. Yeah, man, I can't be gracious with Pierre Poilievre anymore. I just watched, there's just too much evidence for me. There was definitely redistricting when he lost his seat. That's undeniable, but isn't it also rather convenient that they move him into Alberta and then he's got a cowboy hat on and a belt buckle and we're getting hyper masculine AI images of Pierre as a rancher? I mean, not synthetic, man. Now, that doesn't necessarily speak to the individual. I don't think they get to be individuals. I don't think MPs represent their constituents. And I think if there's someone who has the integrity to endeavor to represent their constituents, I think that they're pushed out.
You know what's crazy? That yes, I agree with you. You mentioned this all the time, and I'm in agreement. We're 48 minutes in. We only got 290 viewers. Like, how much does the internet hate Mark?
Yeah, he's extremely deboosted. I remember watching. I go and check on other accounts that I know are deboosted, and I see it's like I said, dude, that was my account until I used that circle boom, and I like kicked off like 6,000 bots. I'd have like 37,000 followers right now. I've removed almost 7,000 followers that were bots and inactives, and that seemed to prevent them from deboosting me to the invisible level. I'm still very much deboosted. They suppress my growth, but I get tweets through all the time. Now on this thing with the way they changed the streaming, it's phenomenal how deboosted we are. Like, we were getting 2,000, 3,000 live viewers. Now we get 300. It's by a factor of 10. There he is.
Did you guys just crash, or was it just me?
Just you, brother.
That's so weird because I'm still streaming. Like, my stream didn't die.
Mark, we were talking while you were gone. Our viewership is way down, and I think it's because of you.
Persona non grata.
I do talk too much sometimes. That's true.
No. I mean, like you're flagged. I think that's what it is.
Oh, buddy. Yeah. Oh, is this stream not getting very many views today?
We're getting a third to a quarter of what we usually get.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, it's probably me. It's probably me. I'm very suppressed. It's weird because I talk like I talk in this show. Like there are no real boundaries, and I'm gonna just call it like I see it. So, and they don't like that because the way I see it is maybe exposes their game a little bit.
Now, I was mentioning to Peyman there before you pop back up, and I just don't know if you're aware of it, so I'm going to say it. And to anyone who's listening now, my account was like that. I hit 31,000 followers on X, and I was invisible. And I mean invisible to your level. I check on your account frequently, and I'll see like what your action is because I know how suppressed you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that was how my account seemed to be. And I went like that for 2 months. And then we had an episode with Jason from Wiretap Media, and he was telling me about like getting rid of the inactives and the bots. And I thought, because if I see a porn bot, I'd remove them. I thought I was doing that. But then I used this software called Circle Bloom. Now, it was expensive. I didn't keep it long, but I got it for a month and I got rid of all the bots. I removed 6,000 followers and I started to be visible again. Now I'm still deboosted overall, but it seemed like they couldn't keep me invisible. And that was where it was before. I don't know how they were accomplishing that, but it was like night and day when I used this. I could show you I'll send you my analytics, like where you could see me go into the red because I removed thousands of followers. And then the next day I started being active. It was like coming back to life, like resuscitating the account.
Weird. Well, good to know. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I only have 8,000 followers, but I've been very suppressed for a while. So I don't know. I had my whole YouTube account removed during COVID because I was explicitly telling people, don't listen to what the government's saying. They can't possibly know. They can't possibly have that data. And then I got dinged with medical inaccuracy. But look, I was right. Because they were saying it's safe and effective and it's been tested. And I was like, testing takes this amount of time. That amount of time has not happened since this thing has been created. It's not possible that they have this data. That was it. Medical misinformation. Done. And then since then, I mean, I also made fun of Justin Trudeau a lot. I called him potato-headed Justin Trudeau. And Chrystia Freeland. And I don't regret it a single word. I'd do it all again.
What'd you call her? Cankles?
Oh my gosh. I would make fun of her all the time. She reminds me of a Ukrainian Baba. And so Ukraine's kind of close, like Greece, Ukraine, that kind of area. We have a lot of the same traditions and like Yaya, Baba, these are grandmother and like grandfathers and stuff. And I could see flashes because like, you know how Chinese women look perpetually like 26 until they look 96? You know, it's like this thing, you're like, what happened to you? Right? You know what I'm talking? And like Greek women or like Ukrainian, like this whole kind of block have a similar thing. It's like they're 26 until all of a sudden they look like an old Baba. And it's like, wow, what happened to you? Got old super fast. I don't know what happened. Yeah. Anyway, no, I would just make fun of them and I would lambaste because my show started as mainly and it's still kind of a comedy show. Like my main premise is like, this is Chrystia Freeland. Her job is to negotiate a deal with Donald Trump. She's wearing a "Mama is not equal to chopped liver" shirt at the airport. What the hell is going on with her? Like, what? Here's the red dress again.
It's like a black comedy. Yes. And that's what it's like. It's like the line between satire and reality has been vanished now.
Yep.
You don't know if there's a parody account or if they're just telling the news.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Yeah, and man, sometimes the real accounts seem like parody. You're just like, what?
Well, look at this Slapinski guy. I'm convinced that Slapinski is not authentic.
Yeah,
I believe that he knows he's a liberal and he's doing this to provoke conservatives by presenting as one. And I think
didn't him and Andy Lee work together? I'm
not sure.
Yeah, Andy Lee. Yep. There's a tweet on Andy Lee's Twitter thing talking about her and Mark Slapinski and another person going to the Freedom Convoy. And wow. I was like, super weird. Like what's with that team? So yeah, no, I during the Freedom Convoy, I got rid of him. I like muted his account or whatever because I just.
Well, he wanted everyone to be locked up for not taking the vax, if I recall correctly.
Well, yeah, but he was the video that gets circulated about him. Not that it was satire, but I think he was trying to prove a point. Like it was a part of a broader video, and he went really deep into that. I don't know that actually reflected his views, but he's still a prize D-bag. Like I'm not trying to stand up for him or anything like that. I think he's not genuine in the same way.
He's rocking the frosted tips from the 90s, man.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Like,
but he's not genuine the same way Rachel Gilmore is not genuine. Like they're paid actors. They're not real. That's not what they're putting out there is not genuine. It's not for real.
Mark, you said you got your YouTube account nuked. We just got ours nuked for PST a couple of weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
And it reminds me of we sometimes forget how dark the COVID times were. Remember, like you post anything about the vaccine and you get that bubble, like the CDC says this, and there's a link to go to the CDC. And I remember thinking, like, fuck you. Who the hell are you? You're Instagram. You focus on sending me pictures of like women in bikinis. Don't tell me how to think.
Yeah, don't morally police. You don't have the moral high ground on Instagram. Oh damn, I forgot what I was going to say. When you say you lost your YouTube channel, it was nuked. What do you mean? Like they said you can't access this anymore. It's gone for all intents and purposes. It's deleted.
They used an argument that we couldn't counter. They said that you have used the same backup email too many times and it violates our bot terms of use. And I'm thinking, you are the biggest tech company on the planet. You couldn't have checked for this while I was registering.
That seems like a bullshit excuse. So like your YouTube channel is inaccessible. You can't access it at all.
Oh, we lost all of our episodes.
And you can't stream to it anymore. It's gone.
But not only could we not log in, we couldn't even reuse the handle that we had before. So it's gone, but it's not gone.
Oh, it's like a technical. It's sitting in like technical purgatory.
It's like retiring somebody's jersey kind of thing.
That's bullshit. So what they like, that's a bullshit thing to do. And it seems like it's a different way to censor, because like what they did to me was they came right at me and they were like, you're lying about medical misinformation. And they took away the channel completely. Like I didn't have any strikes. I didn't have anything against the channel. And they said like, it's just gone. Like today it's gone. That's it. And I was like, okay. And I started another channel. And I had another channel happening because it was already Canadapoly Shorts, but that one didn't get tanked. So, but yeah, no, the whole thing is, it seems like they're realizing they can't come directly at you because they leave themselves open to, when people realize that this whole thing was a friggin' fake, they're going to come and get their pound of flesh type deal. I got my account back, but other people laid the groundwork for that. Like other people, much higher profile people, were upset and they got theirs back. And then all I had to do was click on the, have a look at this again. And they did. And they're like, oh yeah, I guess you didn't violate our policies. Sorry about that. I was like,
yeah, so, I find like it was obviously way darker during COVID. We all lived through that. It was surreal, and we're out of a lot of that. But I mean, some of the things that went in place with the censorship on social media are still very much there. Not as much on X, but on X, the three of us are still very much deboosted. Now, I have a on YouTube, I'm invisible with my Dumb the Wiser account, my other podcast, but I'm on TikTok. And TikTok's the craziest, man, because I'll get a bit of action, but they won't suggest my videos to anyone because they're in violation. So I can't access any advertising or anything like that. And it just directly tells me, and I'll appeal it, but I get no answer back. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's just, we're still in that world. It's like we're all acclimating to it. And it's normal for people to be deboosted by like kind of conveying a common sense, real opposition to what's occurring in the world.
That man can't be a woman.
Yeah. How dare you?
Yeah.
First of all, Ash, thank you very much for reposting the stream. If everybody else could repost, we could get past the fact that we have Mark on our episode. And the internet.
I have to live with this, man.
No, not judging or anything. I was talking to a couple of. I had Detective Helen Bruce's attorney on, and we were talking. Nice. We were also talking about Kathy Drake and Amy Ham. Everyone is panicking about the censorship laws that are coming in. And these two women, Kathy Drake, she's getting sued in civil court, $90,000 for calling somebody a groomer. Amy Ham, she said men can't be women. She got ordered to pay $60,000 restitution to the College of Physicians. We already have censorship laws. They're kind of restructuring them so it's more streamlined.
Yep. Yeah, they're and it's again not just Canada. It's all the states. The blue states are already doing it. The Europe just pushed through. They had Lucy Connolly. They arrested Lucy Connolly for being upset with migrants, right? So they arrested her and threw her in jail. And they're trying to create a situation where
Sorry, who arrested who? Where?
Lucy Connolly. So there was a situation where a British-born Somali, I think, killed children at a daycare, and it was Southport. I think Southport, I think, is the name of the situation. And Lucy Connolly, there were riots, like Southport riots. There were people out in the streets demanding that they deport this guy because they thought he was foreign. But Starmer said, and Lucy Connolly typed on Twitter, light their hotels on fire type deal. Like, she said, light their hotels on fire for all I care. These people are monsters or something like that. And the police arrested her. She's a 37, 38-year-old woman, young kids at home, 2 young kids. She was a daycare worker. And she said, for all I care, F these people, right? They're monsters for doing this kind of stuff. They arrested her and she pled guilty at the advice of her lawyer. And they gave her 3 years in jail, and she served 1 year, and she was let out either right before or right after Christmas. I can't remember which, but she served one Christmas behind jail, like behind bars. And then the next one, I think she was probably out, but I don't know why she was out after a year. The guards threatened her a bunch, according to her. And like for, what she did was vile and blah, blah, blah. It seems like a psyop. It seems like, when a gorilla charges at you and you're supposed to stare down the gorilla until it actually, gets you. Running away is the worst thing, right? I think that's the gorilla charge. I think that they're charging, and the worst thing you could do is run away, if that makes sense. So you gotta stare that gorilla right in the face and say, I have every right to say this. Up yours, you fucking communist.
Yeah, we have to be bold. Starmer has jailed tens of thousands of British citizens for specifically social media posts.
Yep.
And you're right. They're trying to create a chilling effect. They want people to think, hey, I'd love to criticize a policy of the regime, but I wouldn't dare. They want that normalized like it is in other authoritarian countries. In China, you can't go batshit on the Communist Party online. Like, they'll come and take you out. And that's what they want to normalize in the West now. All the Commonwealth countries, most of the EU besides Hungary and Poland, Canada, it's bad, man.
Yep.
I wrote an article about this. It's not to call it speech censorship is not accurate. It's like one direction speech censorship. If they call Mark a fascist, if they say he's a hateful individual, that doesn't get labeled as hate speech. So they're redefining language, and then they're coming after hate speech. Like it's kind of the same thing with the Christian church burnings. Oh, that's apparently not arson.
That's a peaceful protest if it's done for the right reasons, right? Yeah, no, it is a situation for sure where, again, we're supposed to be browbeaten into submission, and they're supposed to be able to do whatever they want. Free speech in the era of algorithms. So, like, I used to work in a situation where I got bored of the internet. Like, I worked nights, right? And I was connected, and I was like, man, there's nothing here. So I dipped into the world of link aggregators. This is before social media. This is like 2008, right? Facebook was created in 2008, 2007, late 2007, it was released to universities. 2008, it was released to everybody else. Smartphones at the same time. Interesting, right? But there was a link aggregator because link aggregators were built for bored office people. Okay. Link aggregators like StumbleUpon, Dig, and then Reddit after Dig. And so they used to just be link aggregators. It didn't have any there was no social aspect to it. And so they're trying to make it so everything you post you you have to comply with these rules and things like that. But I watched Dig die because power users took over Dig, and then Reddit rise because it was a self-moderated network, because you could up and downvote, right? And if somebody said something stupid, you just got downvoted into oblivion. You didn't need moderators, but they brought moderators on, and then they changed it into their woke echo chamber, basically, and moderated it very, very severely. And now they use that to, what's the word? Control us. I think that it's all part and parcel of the control mechanism, right? Like, link aggregators are not evil. It is putting things in and saying, I don't like this, or I do like this, or whatever. These are not evil things. It comes based in our how we're built. And the government is redefining through these algorithms hate. But these things used to just be innocent things. It didn't even have algorithms. Didn't have algorithms, but just not algorithms to silence people, just algorithms to have new content all the time. You know what I'm saying?
So the way you say, Peyman, like they're using the language and they're going in one direction with it, what they're doing is they're enforcing an orthodoxy. It's the enforcement of an orthodoxy through the algorithms. It buries you if you don't have a certain view, right? And that's kind of what we're seeing right across the board. And now they're being so bold, they're trying to make arguments for it. Like, look at Macron recently. I don't know if either of you guys seen this, but he said, "Oh yeah, free speech is complete bullshit." Like, that's a literal quote. Without government intervention, potentially.
No, he was talking about the algorithm being opaque. Without open algorithms, he said free speech is bullshit. If the algorithm's not public and not
open sourced.
Yeah, and maybe not open source, but examinable. Like, if we don't know what the algorithm looks like, then free speech is bullshit because it's managed by the algorithm.
Sorry, did Macron have a momentary stroke and he actually said something that was right for a change?
When I seen it, it was presented in a poor context. It was a meme, and I didn't vet much of it nor look into it. So I will kind of cede to you on that point. But the way I saw it presented was he said free speech is bullshit if the government can't have influence over it. That was the way that it was being presented on X. Now, this just happened recently, potentially within the last 18 hours or so, because I started to see it. But I didn't have time to check it out. So potentially you're right, and it was taken out of context. Because it does seems like he would have been saying something that we all kind of agree with.
Well, I mean, it's just people don't it's so complex, people don't even understand, right? Like, even my discussion about the old link aggregators that turned into social networks is a little over people's head. It's so complex. Like, what do you mean? What does the algorithm do? Oh, well, I like the algorithm, until it starts showing you things you don't like. Like, there's a bunch of people who talk about how the X algorithm's crap now, but they've just got that tab that's like for you instead of following. But it's so complex that people don't understand it, and because they don't understand it, they disengage with it. Does that make sense?
Mark, the article I was referencing, I put a quote in there from George Orwell's 1984. I know that book is just referenced to death, but
it's great.
They said something like the heretics, as they're being executed, they would proudly proclaim their beliefs. The Soviets, the Russians, they would beat them, and they would put a false testimony. But then when they were being executed in their minds, they still believe what they believe, but the party brainwashes people. I think that's what these guys on the left in Canada want. It's not just free speech; it's conscience. Like, they're trying to brainwash people, and they want you to believe this nonsense garbage. Like, men can be women. It's not enough that if you say men can't be women, you go to jail. You have to actually believe it. And that's what brainwashing. Yeah. Sorry, that's where your argument about Reddit and the algorithm and all that ties in.
Yeah. No, I think that you're right. It's like they're creating a false situation, or a false Potemkin village, where it looks like everybody agrees that, of course, if a man says that he's a woman, he can be a man, he can be a woman. Like, obviously, like, that's how it's always been. And yeah, it is hearts and mind and soul. And like, there are people who will never believe that Trump is trying to do good, or it seems like Trump is trying. I can't see into his, his soul, into his person. But by his actions, it seems like he's trying to do good and stop this madness. And people who have been brainwashed believe in their very fiber that, you know, the thing that they believe is true. And you can't talk them down, even if you have pretty good evidence. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like, oh man. And yeah, I think you're right, man. I think that they want our, not just consent, enthusiastic consent, so that little tiny people who have never had power can go and wield that power. Go get your mask on, you anti-masker, you know, like they got a taste of the power. They want it back.
That's a very good point. I read a lot about various totalitarian societies, and that's what you see.
Mm-hmm.
When the Stasi, when the Berlin Wall fell, the people got into the department. They were going to see, well, who's ratting everyone out, and it turned out that it was like half of the population was informing on the other half. So it is something within them that they want to be a petty tyrant. It's like the only thing some people can compete on is compliance. That's kind of the type of people you're dealing with there. But every subsequent communist or Marxist revolution, it was predicated on the man changing. Like Stalin had the new Soviet man. You had to become the new Soviet man to fit into this new society. And in China, it was the same thing. It was the four olds, and we need to be a new version of humanity that's not so greedy and not so bad. Like it's predicated on this flawed version of man as we are. I'm getting a little philosophical with it, but it's just something I've noticed in my reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very philosophical. I guess the new man in Canada would be a transgender man.
Oh, no.
New man is a woman.
Yeah. Well, that's what they fundamentally, though. Okay. Fundamentally, I think the reason we're seeing men being infantilized and running second string to women is because women, well, biology plays into this, but women can be influenced and brought in line. One of the things I noticed during COVID was going into Walmart. I never wore masks. Never wore masks. And walking into a Walmart, I have to like psych myself up sometimes, you know, like we're going to do this thing, right? But walking in, the women would be telling the men, like if there was a man and a woman walking together, often, and even young guys, right? 19, 20, I'd be walking in and I wouldn't wear a mask. And then somebody would try and do the same thing. And their person that they're with would cue them, like, here's your mask, or, you know, put your mask. Oh, you know, we don't want to have a fight. And so like women are agreeable in a way that men are not. They're reducing the testosterone. They're reducing, and more testosterone is you're less agreeable. And so they want women in powerful positions because they're agreeable with authority. Authority says, do this. Women will say, okay, they're peacemakers. Okay, we'll wear the mask. It'll be fine. And the men would be like, shove your mask up, you know, get out of here, get out of my office before I have you thrown out. Difference. And they want the women in charge and they want the men playing second fiddle. So that's the reduction in testosterone. That's the whole boss girl thing. That's all of it. Men are supposed to be subservient to their women in this utopia, and it's bullshit. And I'm not saying dominate your women. A partnership between a man and a woman to build something worthwhile is a partnership, everybody. You have a job, your partner has a job, everybody does their job together. One partner trusts the other partner to do their job and vice versa, and it comes together and you build something great. You don't have to dominate somebody to do that. You can do it in partnership. But what they want is the woman to dominate the man, because the man will listen to the woman where they won't listen to authority.
Well, it's about feminism is attacking the family. Feminism is attacking Christianity. It's reversing roles, traditional cultural roles. But it's I definitely think that's super relevant. The emasculation of young men is very prevalent. I seen a Robert Kennedy quote, an RFK quote recently, where it's like 65-year-old men today have 50% more testosterone on average than 20-year-old men. That's not normal. That kind of indicates potentially that there's something going on with maybe the food supply, which is kind of his whole thing. Maybe it's the soy and everything. I don't know.
It might be. I fell down. Sorry, Peyman, I'm jumping in. I fell down the borax conspiracy. I say borax wrong, apparently, but the box says borax. Apparently it's borax. So I went to Canadian Tire. I fell down the borax conspiracy rabbit hole, and I watched a bunch of content talking about, so borax used to be prevalent in soils, and the borax would get into your food and you would have enough in the food that your body, that was a thing that your body didn't miss. But our soil is so stripped that we don't have that anymore. So you have to supplement boron. And you can do that easily with borax. And borax allows your body to produce testosterone in a natural way. It gives your body the tools it needs to build the testosterone. And so you produce more. And there were studies that were cited in the videos I was watching that said up to 30% increase after a month. And so I've been for more than a month, and yeah, there's a difference. I can feel the difference, and there's other benefits as well. But our food and other things have been stripped of nutrition that our bodies need, and it leads to consequences, right? It's interesting.
I have a different view. I mean, it might be the food supply, it might be soil. I'm not saying that doesn't have a factor in it. I always tell people the story. I came here in '89 from Iran. I come from a traditional family. We weren't Muslim, but it was just a traditional family. Like the mom stays home, takes care of the kids. And I could see the breakdown of society. And it was because of the feminization of society. And Mark, you mentioned like men are better in authority, or I don't know how you phrase it, but women, they're more subservient. It's not just women; it's feminine traits. So it could be like a dude with a man bun, or, like these urban center dudes, soy boys, and it's the same thing. Like they don't stand up to authority. And JP and I have talked about this, and I know it pisses people off, but in the West, feminism was where it started. I think the whole gay rights movement feminized society, and then now we're seeing transgenderism. And it's not that people shouldn't be allowed to be, choose their partners, whatever, same gender. It's just that they've disarmed everybody else's ability to push back and say, we don't want this. So that they are going in one direction where they're saying we want to be feminine. We aren't allowed to go in another direction where we tell the children, find a nice woman, settle down, have children, small business agency, grow your own food, like don't be dependent on the government.
Don't vaccinate your kids. So you said you came here in '89 and you watched the destruction of society, of like kind of the fall of the West. I think I would agree with you. So I am a first generation Canadian. I was born in Canada, but both my parents are my dad's from Greece, and he went to elementary school in Canada, but he learned English like here watching Batman. And my mom's from England, came here in the 70s to be a nanny. So, but my mom wanted to raise us. She was like, these crazy people go to work and like, let me raise their kids as a nanny. She's like, I'm not going to do that to my kids. I'm not going to go to work. I'm just going to raise my kids. And so like my mom was there in the morning when I woke up. She was there after school, and other people, were latchkey kids. And that wasn't a term that we used back then. That's just a common term now, so I'll use it. But a lot of other people were latchkey kids. And sometimes we had kids come to our house after school, and my mom got paid for it. But like she didn't work out of the house until until I was like 8 or 9 or whatever, old enough that if mom was home or not, it didn't really bother me. But when I was like 5, 6, 7, that mattered, right? And I watched other people not do as well as I did. But it wasn't even about me, not do as well as like a standard, because their parents weren't home. And I watched that across time. And like, you see it as a kid and you're like, oh, I wonder why that's happening. And now as an adult, I can go back and be like, wow, like that really has an impact. And so I think it's a negative side effect of our modern culture. And it doesn't serve families well. And that's by design, I think.
Oh, it's definitely by design. And it's like the society overall, we're not just seeing that, we're seeing like masculinity deprivation, or masculinity has been presented as being bad in general. It's toxic. So then what do we see in these environments? We don't see, a lot of people become feminized or emasculated, but we also see the emergence of hypermasculinity, like the Andrew Tate types gaining relevance with certain demographics. Like you can't just... Man is going to behave in a male oriented regard. No matter what the conditioning is, we're still going to default to that in some way. I think it's very ambitious. I want to jump back to the food thing for a moment, because we were mentioning how nutrition is being stripped. Did you guys know that in most places you face more consequences for selling whole milk like full like raw milk
And fentanyl.
and meth. You could be like cooking some meth up, and it's not as bad as they'll throw the book at you for the whole milk. I think that's a big part of it, and I think that's tied in with the pharmaceutical industries. When you look into the Rockefeller societies and stuff back in the day that kind of set up the modern medicine, and it started to be more causational. We're going to treat the symptoms instead of the underlying issue, and if the treatment can't be patented, we're not interested in it. I think all of this stuff is coming to its end, and we're going to see, depending on who wins this struggle, this geopolitical power race right now, but I think we're going to see a lot of these narratives just completely shattered, hopefully.
If I can jump in, I'm trying to tie everything together. You mentioned the raw milk thing. I saw a picture of Jeffersonian style government versus progressive government. And Jefferson was basically saying, maintain the existing natural order, maintain justice. Whereas the progressives, what they're saying is we have to define what is just. We have to define what is morality. And that's what the government's doing. We have to come in and we have to say what kind of milk is right and what kind of milk is wrong. And I want to tie back to what I said about when I saw in 89 when I came here. And Mark, I always tell this story. One of the ways that feminization and women, they kind of clawed away parental rights is they would say in Scandinavia, they don't have corporal punishment. They don't hit their kids, and their kids are, they're more peaceful. They do better in school. So they took away corporal punishment. I grew up in a world where if I did something stupid, man, my dad, he would kick my ass. Yeah. So like you've basically taken away parental rights, but you're further contributing to the destabilization of society.
Yeah. So I worked 15 years in children's mental health, and I growing up, my family did foster care and stuff like that. And so I have a lot of exposure, and my parents never hit us that I remember. One time my mom smacked me upside the head, and I was shocked that she did it, but I totally deserved it. But my parents used to chase us up the stairs with spatulas and spoons, threatening to hit us. And they would always tell the story that if they ever spoke disrespectfully to their parents, and there was any kind of conflict or something like that, the parents and if somebody threatened for, I'm going to call Family and Children's Services, or I'm going to call, somebody on you, they'd say, call the ambulance and the police, call other people. You'll need the help when I'm done with you. Like implying that I will kill you if you do this. And not really, like, I never felt threatened. It wasn't like I was like that. I felt like I was going to be hurt or anything like that ever. But I would not disrespect my parents. Like, I don't think I swore in front of them until I was like 19 or something like that, after I had a cigarette in front of them. They were like, "You smoke it?" I was like, "What?" So yeah, it was one of those things where I had a healthy respect for my parents, and I had a healthy respect for my grandparents. I would never think to be disrespectful to them. You know what I mean? And I don't, my dad, like, I come from a more traditional culture, upbringing wise. But again, it was always just like, you will do what's expected of you, or there will be consequences, and the consequences were never discussed. And I never really got hit. So, but it's an interesting world, because I know people who did hit their kids, and their kids were still prize a-holes. You know what I mean? They still did things that the parents didn't like. You know what I mean? It doesn't always solve the problem, but parents have been neutered. Anything you do, they're terrified of their kids, terrified they're going to do the wrong thing, and terrified that they're going to do the wrong thing, so they don't do anything, and that's the wrong thing. So, well,
look at the C4 thing. Like, now that's covering conversion therapy. So conversion therapy, when it comes to like homosexuals being sent to some kind of religious camp where they're like inundated, like, that's gross for a lot of people. But at the same time, it's the same thing. If someone thinks they're the opposite gender now, then and any psychologist that's going to try to convince them otherwise, that would fall under the rubric of conversion therapy. So it's further disenfranchising the family. Peyman and I get on this topic a lot. Like, if we're going to look at it, that's what it is. Families are being disenfranchised. Society is becoming more feminized, and we're becoming more submissive, even the men.
Well, the men who aren't are punished.
Hmm.
We gotta start winding it down because I know Mark has to go. I'll just
Sorry.
tell a funny story. My dad, he was born in 45, and I think when he was 12, he was playing poker, and his older brother found out, and he beat the crap out of him. So he goes to the sheriff's department, like bloody and bruised, and he's like, "I'd like to file charges." The sheriff's like, "What'd you do?" He's like, "My brother, he beat me up for playing poker," and he's like, "Good, you deserved."
Get out of here, kid.
But Mark, maybe tell the audience where can they go to follow you or watch your show.
Yeah, sure. I do a daily show every day. I don't very often take a day off, and it's an hour long. And go over to CanadaPoly.com if you want to see what the show is. It's on YouTube and all the other things, but I'm very, very heavily suppressed. So it wouldn't be surprising if you haven't seen it, but the best place to get it is CanadaPoly.com probably, or YouTube. Yeah. But thanks for having me, guys. It's appreciated. And it's super fun to have conversations with people who not that I don't have to convince that things are going terribly wrong, but we can get more into the weeds and the details about how terribly wrong things are going.
I agree with that. I've had a conversation with you before, and this one met my expectations. It's always a pleasure, man. Thank you very much for coming on.
Cheers. Thanks so much.
Thanks again, Mark. And to the audience, if you guys could go ahead one last time, if you could share the stream even after the episode's over, we'd appreciate it. Take care.